Hey everybody, today's edition of How Can I Piss Someone Off Today? Welcome to the show. So I want to talk about the Civil War and make you guys understand that slavery, this is something I've thought since I was a child. This is the way I remember learning it, and all of a sudden everybody switched the script on me and all that stuff. And I actually published shared a page from a guy's book that he wrote, and it was the same stuff I was taught. And so I want to share it with everybody and try to get this under control a little bit. Don't mind my deplorable shirt. Anyways, so the real beginning to everything with the whole Civil War. Let's talk about how it was. All right, so we got to remember that in April 12th, 1861, we started the Civil War. We'll get to that more here in a little bit. The Tariff of 1828, if you do your research on that, the North and South were having economic disputes pre-Revolutionary War. They were already having problems because the Tariff of 1828, of course, made it worse. Also known as the Black Tariff or Tariff of Abomination, which it was created to pay off the national debt that we were under from the War of 1812. So by 1832, the national debt was paid off. It was such high taxes that was favorable to the North because the South had a better economy. Most of the goods in America were made in the South, which left the South paying around 75% of the taxes in America. The tariff forced the South to only buy goods from the North due to the high cost after taxes, of importing. So basically, the North had the South over a barrel. They were really giving it to them. The tariff made the South buy from the North, meaning that they couldn't get the good deals by buying from Europe and etc. In 1833, the Great Compromise was signed in, and was signed to reduce some of the taxes. That same year, the Force Bill came about and gave the government the ability to collect tariffs by any means necessary, including force. Now, I'm hoping y'all have heard of these things. You can feel free to Google. I'm all about it. Anyway, so in 1860, Lincoln had the support of rich Northern industrialists while running his bid for presidency. The industrialists were concerned with profiting from the higher taxes in the South, and not about the moral dilemma of slavery. It was morally wrong. We all know. Even today, we know. Lincoln opposed slavery. Yes, he even said slavery was and this is a quote, an unqualified evil to the Negro, the white man, and the state. But that wouldn't be good enough to become president. So Lincoln repeatedly said that he had no intention to challenge slavery, but he did intend to return high import taxes, which benefited his constituents in the North. Think about that. So the original 13th Amendment to the Constitution actually supported slavery. Actually protected slavery. It was called the Corwin Amendment protected slavery and went further than the 1857 Dred Scott decision, which said that no black person could claim U.S. citizenship. That's pretty messed up. But the Corwin Amendment went beyond that and said, no amendment shall be made to the Constitution which will authorize or give to Congress the power to abolish or interfere with any state with the domestic institutions thereof, including that of persons held to labor or service by the laws of that state. According to the Corwin Amendment, no future amendment could undo it. Corwin's first version of the 13th secured slavery, made it a permanent thing in the United States. Now, think about these things. Now, in 1861, slavery was secure and abolitionists were far left liberals. Sounds like our Democrats today. But yet the South was Democratic back then. It's almost like the liberals went Democrat and the conservatives went Republican. So you're telling me that. Anyways, so right before Lincoln took office in 1861, Buchanan signed a tariff worse than the tariff of abomination. The Morrill tariff was the highest tariff in American history, taxing imports at over 75%. Now, these heavy taxes, they benefited the northern industrialists. You know, they obviously probably hurt the South. In response to the Morrill tariff, the South drafted its own constitution, which included a ban on high tax on imports. The South wanted to offer low import taxes so that North American trade would make its way into their ports in the South, including Charleston, Savannah, and New Orleans. They were trying to point those things there. At this point, the Civil War fuse had been lit. It was time. Everybody was getting antsy. We're kind of in this situation right now, but like I said, I just want to show y'all that it's not about slavery, that these things add up more than slavery did. And I've got some things that you're going to see here in a second. I'm going to post some quotes as we go along of things that Lincoln said. I'm going to post you some quotes from other people and things like that. We're going to, just bear with me here. So the North was fine with slavery, but wouldn't budge on the taxes. They used the forts in southern ports to enforce tariffs and collect taxes, even if the South seceded. Once the war escalated, Lincoln would need a more inspiring cause to rally troops. People weren't really interested in dying for taxes. So 2 years into the war, the Emancipation Proclamation drops. 1863. Now, we started this war when? I said April 12th, 1861. And you're telling me the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863. But the war's over slavery, right? Okay. I hope you've been watching these pop-ups and reading them. Lincoln had no intention of freeing slaves. You've been seeing pop-ups as we've been going. All right, so Lincoln said, ready for this one? This is a quote from Lincoln himself. "Things had gone from bad to worse until I felt we had reached the end of our rope. On the plan we were pursuing, that we had played our last card and must change our tactics or lose the game. I'm now determined upon the adoption of the emancipation policy. Oh, 1863. Because he's losing the war. Did you hear that? Because he's losing the damn war. The Emancipation Proclamation was simply a plan B for the North to win the war if things did not go their way. Free the slaves, cripple the South's economy, boom, you win. Lincoln freeing the slaves, he felt by freeing the slaves that the North would be more inspired to fight and that the slaves would turn against their masters and destabilize the South. And that's exactly what his plan was, and that's what happened. Why do you think the, surrender happened? Everybody was starving. They didn't have supplies because the South got crippled. But this is why. Lincoln was a piece of crap. Yes, the North won the war. They won it shiesty. They are some bullshitters. But anyways, after the war, a new version of the 13th Amendment was drawn up. And it stated, and this is exact words, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. Now, I'm done with all my stuff I had to write down because I had to make memories. I have issues remembering now with my health issue. Anyways, so a lot of places actually still kept their slaves for a little while because they declared that their slaves were breaking the law. They used can't think of the word, but they used like where they were like deadbeats or whatever. They tried to use a lot of things, like in Alabama, especially Alabama and Texas. I think were some of the last states to get rid of slaves. In fact, I believe, if I remember correctly, the last state to get rid of slavery, to actually abolish it, was like Massachusetts or something in the north. Really? So, in conclusion, I mean, the war was fought because they were being overtaxed. The slaves were used to destabilize the economy in the North. There were so many free slaves that went into the economy at one time that I believe a lot of the places did end up for a while criminalizing something the slaves did so they could pull them back in and work with them because they became a drain on the economy. And y'all got to understand, that's actually why for the longest time that the people in the South, see, they didn't really understand everything, but the people in the South they had a lot of problems with, the black community, and it was because they were forced upon the people to win a war, and of course everybody's ass is chapped from losing a war. But it was nothing against them personally, because if we go back to the beginning of time, slavery was around forever. I've said this before. Slavery was around for a long damn time. And when the slaves were brought to America, they were not just black slaves. Yeah, it ended up a lot of black slaves because the Dutch settled a piece of Africa and was bringing slaves and selling them to the Americans. So that's why most of them were black. But there were white slaves. Italians? No, maybe not Italians. I know for sure there were Irish and I believe Japanese or Chinese. But it wasn't just black people. And the war was not fought over slavery. Slavery was used to win the war. And I will certify that. But when you look at that flag and those monuments, they don't mean what you were told they mean. As you'll see here in a second, to the victor go the spoils. Basically, what's his name? Yeah. Churchill made some comments. I believe it was Winston Churchill that said, the winner gets to write history. Just remember that, guys. I mean, we're under so much scandal in this country, and y'all think this is used to divide us. That's all it is. They have to make it about slavery for everybody to get on board. We are not that people anymore. Slavery, at the time of slavery, when we had slavery in these United States, it was a normal thing across the world. Everybody had slaves. It wasn't because you're black. It wasn't because you're blah, 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 blah. Now, the reason you were hated in the South and all the stuff was going on, yeah, it's messed up. But you know, those Democrats were chapped. And I think that's about the time they started becoming liberal. And I believe this has been planned since all the way back then, because it feels like something's coming back around. Don't vote Democrat. I don't even know about Republicans right now. I mean, I'm hoping the best. I've always kind of fell on that side. But, you know, truth be told, this is the story of the Civil War, and this is where we're at today. And we got to stick together. It's about time for some changes in these United States, and it doesn't come with monuments. The monuments are pieces of metal, pieces of stone. We need to start moving people. Get people out of office that don't belong in office, and we need to start fixing this world. This world is so full of corruption, and it has always, the presidency, a lot of those things, if you look back, now, Trump may or may not, but I don't see none of it. We haven't seen any proof that he's ever been corrupt on anything. A lot of accusations, but never proof. So let's not count him, but let's look back before him at all the scandal that was in the freaking government things. I mean, we need term limits on Congress and the House and Senate, because without term limits, they're the same people rotting this country away. They need to go after so many years. We need fresh blood. We need fresh people. You know, this world needs to fix itself, or else it's going straight to hell. I mean, this is an effort to stop the second Civil War from coming, because they're turning us against each other, white, black, liberal, Democrat, Republican. They're just turning us against each other is all it is. And I think it's about time we all need to act, and we need to act fast, and we need to get on the same team, because a unified country with unified people, no matter what color they are, is a dangerous damn thing, and that's what they're scared of. Just like I said, did you hear where they freed the slaves to turn the black people against their owners? Do you think they're doing shit now to turn the black people against the white people? Of course they are. As always, I love y'all fuckers, and y'all have a good day, night, weekend, evening, whatever it is.